Friends, we can all see that many white bloggers have millions of followers. Please support me too because my followers are still few. Black bloggers also deserve to be famous. My friends, let's unite and lift each other up. Please press subscribe button and like. In the heart of Pine Valley High, a storm was brewing. The sun hung high, casting a warm glow over the schoolyard, but the atmosphere was anything but peaceful. Laughter echoed, sharp and cruel, as a group of boys surrounded a girl, their taunts slicing through the air like daggers. "Look at her hair. It's a mess," one boy jeered, his voice dripping with mockery. The crowd erupted in laughter, circling around Alyssa Freeman, a new student who had just transferred to the school. At 13, she was shy and vulnerable, her heart racing as she clutched her backpack tightly. "Why don't you run back to your janitor daddy?" Another boy sneered, pushing her to the ground. Alyssa's books scattered across the asphalt, pages fluttering like wounded birds. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she tried to gather her belongings, but the boys only laughed harder. "Stay down where you belong," one of them shouted, his voice filled with venom. But what they didn't know was that Alyssa had an older sister, Naomi Freeman, who was watching from the edge of the crowd. At 17, Naomi was known for her quiet demeanor, but beneath that calm exterior lay a fierce protector. Raised by a soldier, she had learned the art of combat and resilience. As the boys continued their torment, Naomi's heart raced. She had always kept her skills hidden, but seeing her sister in pain ignited a fire within her. Pushing through the crowd, she approached the scene, her presence commanding attention. "Leave her alone," Naomi said, her voice steady and unwavering. Derek Malaloy, the ringleader, smirked at her. "Oh look, Big Sis is here to save the day. What are you going to do? Cry?" Naomi knelt beside Alyssa, brushing dirt off her skirt. "You okay, sis?" she asked softly, her eyes locked on Derek. "They won't stop," Alyssa sobbed, her voice trembling. Naomi's chest tightened with anger. "You don't have to take this anymore." Derek stepped closer, shoving Alyssa again. "What's wrong? Can't handle a little fun?" Naomi's silence was deafening. She stood tall, placing herself protectively in front of Alyssa. "You done?" she asked, her tone flat but laced with danger. Derek laughed, but there was a hint of uncertainty in his eyes. "What are you going to do? Cry about it?" Naomi took a deep breath, recalling her father's words, "Never swing first, but don't you ever swing last." In a flash, Derek lunged at her, but Naomi was faster. She caught his wrist midair, twisting it with a practiced motion that sent him crashing to the ground. The courtyard erupted in gasps and shouts of disbelief. "What the?" one boy stammered as Naomi dispatched the others with swift precision. Each move was clean and brutal, a testament to her training. Within moments, the 6 varsity bullies lay groaning on the ground, their arrogance shattered. Naomi stood tall, her fists unclenched, breathing steady. The courtyard fell silent, the weight of her actions hanging in the air. "What are you?" Derek croaked, fear etched on his face. "I'm Marcus Freeman's daughter," Naomi replied coldly. "And he didn't raise me to bow to cowards like you." The crowd erupted in murmurs, phones recording every moment. The boys, once kings of Pine Valley High, were now reduced to broken figures on the pavement. Just then, a teacher stepped forward, panic in his eyes. "Naomi Freeman. That's enough. You're in serious trouble." Naomi turned to him, her gaze unwavering. "Where were you when they slammed my sister to the ground?" The courtyard buzzed with whispers, students rallying behind Naomi. Another teacher, Mrs. Walker, stormed in, her tone sharp. "You'll be suspended, Naomi. Do you understand?" "Expel me if you want," Naomi replied, her voice low but clear. "But everyone here saw what happened. You let them torment her because you thought we'd stay quiet." The crowd erupted in applause, the tide turning in favor of the Freeman sisters. Just then, the gates swung open, and a tall man in military uniform strode across the pavement. It was Sergeant Marcus Freeman, their father. "Who laid hands on my daughters?" he demanded, his voice steady and commanding. No one answered. The bullies remained on the ground, trembling. Marcus's gaze swept across the teachers. "And who stood by and let it happen?" Mrs. Walker opened her mouth, but no sound came out. I wore this uniform for 20 years, Marcus continued, his tone carrying the weight of battlefields. I fought so children back home could be safe. And yet, my girls are beaten and mocked in a place that calls itself a school. You should be ashamed. The courtyard erupted in murmurs, students nodding in agreement. Derek, clutching his arm, tried to speak. It was just a joke. A joke? Marcus's eyes narrowed. When you spit hate, that is not a joke. That is cowardice. The tension in the air was palpable as the crowd held its breath, waiting for the next move. Marcus stood tall, his presence commanding respect. The students began to pull out their phones, capturing the moment, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. By the next morning, this will be everywhere, Marcus said, his voice steady. And you will face the consequences of your actions. The crowd erupted in whispers, excitement and fear mingling in the air. The bullies, once so confident, now looked like cornered animals, their bravado stripped away as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the courtyard. Naomi felt a surge of hope. This was more than just a fight. It was a stand against the injustice that had plagued their school for too long, but just as the moment reached its peak, the school bell rang, signaling the end of lunch. Students began to disperse, but the tension lingered. Naomi knew this was just the beginning. Let's go home, she said to Alyssa, who was still shaken but now wore a glimmer of determination in her eyes. As they walked away, Naomi glanced back at the crowd, her heart pounding with the thrill of what had just happened. She had stood up for her sister, and in doing so, she had ignited a spark that could change everything, but the battle was far from over. The real fight was just beginning, and Naomi was ready to face whatever came next. As the sisters reached the parking lot, they spotted their father leaning against his old Chevy, his expression a mix of pride and concern. What happened? He asked, his voice steady but laced with urgency. Naomi took a deep breath, her heart still racing. I stood up for Alyssa. They were bullying her, Dad. I couldn't just watch. Marcus's eyes softened as he looked at Alyssa, who was still trembling. You did the right thing, Naomi. But we need to be prepared for what comes next. What do you mean? Alyssa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus straightened, his military demeanor returning. This isn't just about today. It's about standing up for what's right, even when it's hard. You both have to be ready for the fallout. Naomi nodded, determination flooding her veins. I won't back down. Not now. As they climbed into the truck, the weight of the day settled over them. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over Pine Valley. But in that moment, the sisters felt a sense of unity and strength that they had never experienced before. Together, we can face anything, Naomi said, glancing at Alyssa, who nodded, her fear slowly transforming into resolve. But as they drove away, the shadows of the day loomed large, and they knew that the real test was yet to come. The fight for justice was just beginning, and they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Do you want to know the fate of the heroes? Please post part 2. Subscribe to the channel and continue watching. Your opinion and support are important to me. Leave it in the comments. Thank you.